Hi, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Dance Teacher Pep Talk. If you're new here, this is a podcast space for dance teachers and aspiring teachers to get some inspiration or new thoughts as you head into your week of classes. And I am just returning back from maternity leave. And with that, I'm still kind of doing these like spur of the moment type of recordings when I feel inspired and sort of, talking on things that are pertinent or current in my life in the hopes that maybe you will also get something out of this too and how that translates into the classroom space. So as I said, I'm just coming back from maternity leave and I'm excited about it. A lot of the people, when I say I'm going back for maternity leave, they'll ask like, oh, and how are you feeling about that? And truly, I have such a great setup of my schedule and things that I really went into it feeling good. And my first night of teaching went so well, and it felt, so great to be back. And I'm feeling inspired and I'm feeling refreshed, like I guess as refreshed as you can coming back from a maternity leave. But I feel really good about this. And as I was going back, I noticed a couple things, specific to the time that we're in. So where I live, this is the holiday season. It is winter, we're coming into like the deep cold months of winter. And it's really such an interesting time because, with the holiday season and for so many around the world, whatever holidays you're celebrating, there's so many holidays in the month of December. But it's a time where we still have everything going on in our life. Like the dishes are still there, the laundry's still there, our work schedule is still there. If we have children, our children still need us and all of this stuff. And then we still have work. But yet we're throwing something else into the mix like, oh, it's the holiday season. Let's celebrate that. Let's honor that, and it comes with extra stuff like shopping or decorating and things like that. And things that we really want to enjoy, like, going out to special performances or seeing like holiday light shows and things like that. And so when we're in this time, even though it's like such a magical, special time, it can feel so busy because the other parts of life have not slowed down or stopped. And yet I feel that it's a great awareness for us to have to realize, where are we busying ourselves or making ourselves, stress out over busy factors when it's not even completely necessary to be worrying about those things or busying ourselves. And, the thought for this episode kind of came to me when I was doing my regular nightly routine to get like the house set up for the night feeds and all of this. And I started to like have some chest pain and I was like, whoa, like what is going on? Like, are you stressed? What is going on? Like you're just doing your normal thing. And I realized I was making myself so busy. I was throwing the laundry, I was doing dishes, I was getting stuff ready, as I said, and I was not even like sitting and present and looking, at all the decorations that we had just put up, or like sitting and enjoying just like a quiet moment with a book or a quiet moment in front of the TV. And I know as like a mom in the fresh stages of, like early infanthood or whatever, any section of time really is so important because you're like, oh, I have 10 minutes. What can I do with these 10 minutes? But I had been filling so much of those little blocks of times with, cleaning and things like that I didn't even have the time to just like sit for myself. And it really kind of like clicked in my mind as this is a really important reminder as teachers when we're in the studio space and setting, especially at this time of year. Because as I mentioned, life continues on, but we have like this extra magic factor on top of it with the holiday season. And, our students are experiencing this as well. They want to enjoy the holidays. They want to enjoy the time off. And I remember like the excitement of like knowing that, school break is coming up. We have a couple more weeks or whatever, counting down the days. It wasn't even just the holidays that were exciting. It was the fact that you get a break. And while you're waiting for this, though, you still have school, you still have all your tests and projects that are, kind of closing out as this 2024 closes out. And we have all of this extra stuff added to our plate when really we just want to be able to enjoy and slow down. And when I was thinking about this for our students and the experience that I had myself, like with the little moment of like, what are you doing? Why are you making yourself so busy? It made me realize that it is so, so important for us to be an example of enjoying the season. And how can we teach that, or how can we promote that? Because, when we go into class, we have an agenda, we have specific things that we're working towards. And it's so important to be able to explain or to, show and model that, like, yes, these factors are important, but we also want to take the time to like enjoy the factors as we're going through them. And I sort of like kind of mentioned this a bit in my previous episode about not wishing it away and about, really being present in the moment. But I think as dance teachers, we have such a responsibility to be able to model and to show this, because unfortunately, I don't think a lot of the time in schools, teachers have the time or space to be able to do this. And, not at any fault of theirs or anything like that. It's just they have so much they are trying to work up to and with, like the curriculum and meeting certain benchmarks and things like that. There's so much pressure. And in the dance setting, of course, there's pressure to like push and get our students up to par with different technique skills and to be working hard. But I feel, have like an extra space where we can really allow growth as humans to happen. All that hard work, dedication, commitment, those are wonderful traits and wonderful skills, but it's going to really push a human to burnout if that's all they think and all they know. And so how can we then explain and share and model for our students that taking time to just slow the process down is just as important and as effective, and it's really important for just like the health of our body and our mind, especially during this time of year. And I always think to myself too, like, aside from the technique and aside from the performance, what traits do I want to instill or share with my students? Like, when they leave, when they graduate, what are some things that they're going to take away from the studio space that isn't that triple pirouette or whatever it is that they got as a skill? What is it that they're taking away? Because when we look back, even ourselves as teachers, I don't think we necessarily remember the specific skill points or even like the specific dances. Like, yeah, I have a few of my favorite pieces I've ever done or whatever and danced in and performed, but I think as like a whole approach, like the traits that I gained, the character that I built, and what that took me to in life. And I think that we need to remember that as well. And the holiday season is a beautiful time to do that. And so, yes, honor the energy too that you're seeing and experiencing, because if your students are coming in and they're feeling the need to slow down, slow down. Maybe we don't need to get through all the points of class today, A, B, C, D, or whatever it is in our agenda. Maybe we take it down and we just focus on A, B, C today, and we work on, those parts of the agenda and take the time to really process through. Or maybe we're adding in extra elements of magic and fun that like connect to the holiday season that we are in. And last year I had created an episode, December Magic, that I'll link again in my stories, but there were ideas in that episode about how to make the class experience special at this time of year. And I gave some ideas, like especially around using lights and things like that, because this is like a season of light, where I am, the shortest day of the year is coming up, December 21st. And with that, it's, the darkest period. And so how can we bring light in these dark days? And I also shared on my Instagram, Dance Teacher Pep Talk, some different ideas that we can implement. And I'll be resharing those as well, especially where I'm in the season of not creating new, but using what has been effective for me while I'm navigating this return after maternity leave. And, speaking back on the idea about how we can share this with our students is, I've mentioned this before in previous episodes, but we have such a gift of being a present person, a present force in these students' lives for many years at a time. And school teachers don't get that opportunity. Sometimes they do, like maybe they have a class where they teach at different years of schooling or whatever, or maybe they like loop their kids up the next year. I forgot what that's called. But anyways, we have this opportunity to be really present in their lives for a long time. And we also have time where the school day might not necessarily have that time. And we can really take this opportunity to help the students enjoy the season of life that is happening and to learn how to be present, because it is going to be a fast-paced world for them always. And things are going to be going, and, we're working hard towards our goals and dreams. But if we are doing this all the time and not really just taking the time to soak in the moment or like savor, the season, then we are really missing out on the life part. And, some ways that we maybe could do this, as I mentioned before, is like, shortening the day's agenda and maybe throwing the agenda out the window. Maybe like taking an improv to begin the class and seeing where it goes from there, creating on the spot, and even just, like I said, pulling from the energy and honoring the energy that is in the room. So like if the students are coming in with a specific energy, how can we work on that? Or can we work to shift it? Can we open up a conversation with the class about what are we wanting to do today? One of my favorite things that I did one time, of what are you wanting to do today? I know it's different to like turn the script onto the students and be like, okay, you're going to be the ones setting up the class structure today, but they love it and they have fun with it. So I remember I had split the group, or I split the class up into different groups, gave them all a small piece of paper, like a little Post-it or whatnot, index card. And I said, okay, this group over here, you guys are warm-ups. This group over here, you are skills. And this group over here, you are improvs. Okay. And I had each of them write down on their Post-it or index card a favorite thing of that they do. So like warm-up, like maybe this person like loves doing a cardio circuit. Okay. Skills, maybe this one really loved working on leaps. And improv and miscellaneous. Maybe there was a specific exercise we've done that they really liked. And I had them all write their ideas down. And I then took the little pieces of paper, laid them out. And that was how I formed the class, is the favorite things that they wanted to do, I made sure to include. And a lot of the times it wasn't that everybody had a different answer, but maybe a few people said leaps. So then, okay, great. Then we're really going to focus on this. And it really personalizes the experience and again slows it down in a way, but gives the power back to the voice of the students. So that can be a fun one too, because also if your brain is tired from all the holiday stuff that you're doing on top of your life, this is going to help you as well. And like I said too, revisiting some of the ideas I've shared in the December Magic episode can be really fun and special. And, just creating a environment too, like the way that you're setting up your classroom, making it feel special, making it feel slower. Maybe we're taking time in our warm-up today, maybe instead of doing a long warm-up, maybe we do a nice 10 to 15 minute warm-up, but spend the end of class doing a really lovely cool down with some nice stretching and things like that. So there's definitely different ways that you can, like I said, model this and help to instill this in our dancers, because they're going to need the tools too. Like nobody really taught me how to find my breath, or the importance of meditation and how it would be very important to me. And so I had to find that out for myself. But what's interesting, I feel, is if we can implement these tools or introduce these tools for our students, they're going to be such a leg up than I ever was at age 20, for example, with this. And so just sharing what works for us to help us to find ourselves in the season of busyness can be so very helpful for them. We spend our whole lives working towards and striving towards our goals, but it's so important to be able to share that you can still do that and move slowly. You can still do that and take a break. You can still do that and just work through it in a different speed than the speed at which you were going before. So I hope today's episode provided some food for thought in the sense that this is a beautiful time of year, and yes, we have so much on our plates, but we can take the time to really enjoy that whole plate instead of feeling like we're rushing from one thing to the next and not even fully present. Because I don't know about you, but December usually flies for me. And then all of a sudden it's a brand new year. And then we're feeling the pressure of what are we going to achieve in this year? What are my New Year's intentions and resolutions for this year? And so before we get to that point, let's just take the time to close out this year in a beautiful way and help our students also to find a way to do that for themselves as well. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your week. Make sure to check us out on Instagram at Dance Teacher Pep Talk, and we'll talk real soon.